All right, good evening, guys. It is September 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. for our regularly scheduled board meeting. We will call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. We will establish quorum. We have Garrett Wilson, Rich Senna, Courtney Daughter Bruce, myself, Christy Schmidt, Dr. Kraft, Dallas Pipes, Sarah Falkenberry, and Carlin Fryer. And at this time, we will head to closed session to discuss A, pursuant to Texas Code 551.074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments. B, pursuant to Texas Code 551.0821, deliberation of personally identifiable information about a public school student. And C, pursuant to Texas Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. So at this time, at 5:01, we will head to closed session. All right, everybody, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. It is 6:31 p.m. and we are reconvening from closed session into open session. We can reestablish quorum. We have 100% of our trustees present today. So we can start open session with Ms. Yvette. Yes.
At this time, please rise for the presentation of colors by the Bernie ISD Junior ROTC Color Guard.
Colors. Present colors.
Please join our students from Bernie Middle School South as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Colors. Hoos. Order. Colors. Colors turn. Hoos.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you, and please be seated. Madam President and trustees, our students from Bernie Middle School South have some great questions for you this evening.
Hi, my name is Claire Peavy, and I'm the NJHS historian. My question for you today is, have you ever made a big mistake, and what did you learn from it?
Can I take this one?
I think we all need to take this one, actually. Good question.
Yes, thank you. I'll be the first to say that every day I feel like I make mistakes with parenting. So I think over the years of raising kiddos, I have one that just turned 20 yesterday. And you start off when you have kids thinking that you have it all figured out and can just put the pieces together. And I learned very quickly that I'm wrong a lot. And so what really helped the relationships with my kiddos is whenever I would be able to express fault and say, listen, mommy messed up and I'm sorry. And I think in doing so, it built a lot of trust with my kids and myself. So really learning from mistakes, trying to do better every day, but then it's okay to mess up, but as long as you admit fault, you learn from it.
Anybody else want to share a mistake?
Yeah.
I think we make mistakes every day. I think it's how we keep moving forward. I'll tell you a really embarrassing mistake that I made 3 years ago whenever I decided to run for the school board, which isn't the mistake, by the way. We were at a forum, and it was kind of like a debate. There was mayor candidates, and there was city council, there was county commissioner candidates, and you know, I had my speech, I was ready to go, I'd been practicing, and about 2 minutes before, someone was like, hey, Ms. Schmidt, you think you could lead the Texas Pledge for us? I'm like, yeah, sure, I said that every day when I was a teacher, I definitely know that. Well, I got up there, and my mind just went blank. And I started saying it as best I could, but I said it wrong. Like I misspoke a word in the Texas Pledge, and I just felt so terrible for it. But it taught me I just apologized, I owned it, and I kept moving forward.
Do you want the rest of us to share our mistakes? No, I mean, I think Mrs. Bruce had it really well, where owning your mistakes, acknowledging that, repenting of it, so that you don't do it again. You try not to do it again. But the worst part of any scandal in American history is the cover-up for a mistake that happened. And it's just better just to come out and admit it, you know, and
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wyatt Patterson, and I'm the NJHS president. And my question for y'all is, if you could trade roles with a middle schooler for a day, which one would you choose? A student, a teacher, or a principal, and why?
I'll take it.
Go for it.
So I think it's a great question, by the way. If I think I was going to go back to the previous one, the big mistake was letting the students start asking us questions. Just kidding. I would want to be a student, and you know, I graduated from Bernie High School a long time ago, and middle school today is so much different than the opportunities that we had back then. So Bernie is we always talk about our school district on a path of continuously improving, and hopefully what we do every day shows you that we're trying to give you a better education. And so I would go back as a student and just see what opportunities that there are in middle school today that we didn't get to have, because you guys have a much more opportunity and so many more options today than we ever dreamed about having.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
My name is Ashley Pilot, and I'm the NJHS secretary. My question for y'all is, do you have any hobbies or hidden talents others might be surprised to hear about?
I'll take this one. You might not have noticed, but I've been limping around today. I play tennis, and I have not been training because I've been very busy with school board and back to school with my own kids and family. And I got out there today thinking I was a superstar and pushed myself a little too hard and pulled my calf. So my advice to you is train, and don't just throw yourself in there. So train and work hard, and you'll reap the benefit of that. So that's my secret talent. I play tennis.
Let's see if anybody else has a secret talent.
I can wiggle my ears. Do you do that?
Do you have a hidden talent?
I mean, I also play tennis.
There you go.
Hydrate, all those things.
I'm ambidextrous, so that's about it. But I think Garrett might have another talent he's not speaking of.
What? I don't know. It's the ears. That's the town. The ears. The ears.
That was a really fun question. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Huxley Beckham, Vice President of NJHS, and my question to y'all is, what advice would you give to your middle school self?
I actually, when I was in middle school, starting in 6th grade, you look at that and you're like, wow, 3 years of middle school, and it just seems like you've got forever. And then when you get to be a freshman in high school, you're like, oh, wow, we've got 4 years of this. That's going to be, like, there's no end in sight, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you're having a good time, enjoying yourself or not. And the advice I would give to myself, looking back on that now, is time flies. So enjoy it, soak it up, learn. This 3 years is going to fly by. The next 4 years is going to go even faster. And just appreciate the time you got.
Do you think time flies?
That's at 40.
Wait till you're my age.
Yeah.
So I have something for you because I really do wish that I would have had some of this advice. But going through the military and doing some of the things I've done is the scaredness that you have of the unknown will limit what you can do that day or in your life. So don't be afraid. That unknown is always going to be a lot scarier than what it is ever that you're going to experience. The stress and that, waiting, the hesitation of whatever it is, if you're, going into high school or whatever that is, it's so much worse in your head. So ask questions. What your parents were telling you when you were little, you can do anything. It's true. You just have to ask. So don't be afraid to ask for opportunities, to ask for things, and to put yourself out there. Put yourself in situations where you can grow, because it's going to be a lot more fun if you get yourself in those situations as opposed to being afraid of them.
Can I ask you one thing? If you had a younger sibling that was going to be in middle school, in 3 or 4 years, what advice would you give them about middle school?
Oh, I tell them to not make any mistakes.
But if you do, you just learn from them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Can I add one more? When I went through Bernie Middle School, it was the only middle school that was in Bernie. So we were the BMS Bernie Middle School pups, and we were blue and white. But I remember those years being pretty scary because that's kind of when I moved here, was early in my middle school years. And I remember there was 2 girls that quickly befriended me. And so I always remember thinking like how kind of scary middle school can be if you're new. So I want to encourage each of y'all to try to make a new friend every day and to be a friend to someone in need. And y'all know you can look around a classroom or a cafeteria and see someone that's isolated. And so I would have told myself back then, and I would encourage you to always be a friend, because those are pivotal years where you really work on your self-confidence, or maybe you're really insecure and you just need someone to come alongside you. So really just open your eyes to see someone that might need a friend.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ella Tochinsky. I'm the NJHS Service Chair. And my question's kind of similar to Wyatt's, but if you had to follow a middle school schedule for one day, which class would you look forward to the most and why?
I got this. It was athletics. I forget what it's called nowadays. Athletics. It was PE back in my day, but athletics.
Okay.
Mrs. Hobby, what's the name of your class? Student leadership. That's what I would want to look at.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that wasn't offered for me, but student leadership, I think you'll have so many opportunities. There's not a missed opportunity, so just do it all.
Also, college and career readiness when you're in 8th grade. You get to do like a mock interview, like soak that up, because that was not offered when I was your age. And I think that prepares you to kind of really understand maybe like a pathway that you want to go into in high school. Maybe you start thinking about a future career. So those are great classes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Let's give our students a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite Madam President, our trustees, and Dr. Kraft to join me on the floor for our commendations. For our first commendation of the evening, we are thrilled to announce that Currington Elementary School and Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary School have earned the Purple Star Campus designation from the Texas Education Agency for the 25-26 and 26-27 school years. As a district, we're proud to honor and support the unique needs of our military-connected students and families. Now let's give them a huge round of applause. Tonight, we are proud to recognize Mary Grace Roxfald for exemplifying Bernie ISD's core value, excellence through integrity. As Bernie ISD's Network Administrator 1, she consistently holds herself to high standards and works diligently to improve and maintain the district's network and Wi-Fi infrastructure. We also have our Chief of Technology, Sean Babcock, here to share a few words.
Hi, I just want to congratulate Mary. Mary is just an amazing person. She's very professional in all of her work and always has high standards she sets for herself as she supports our district's network and makes sure teaching and learning is effective using those resources. So big thank you to Mary and all her hard work.
This concludes our commendations for this evening. Tonight's BEF Wow Moment takes us to Bernie Middle School South. Thanks to a BEF grant, students are enjoying VEX kits for automation and robotics. Let's check out the video.
Hi, my name is Mia. Welcome to Bernie Middle School South. Today's BEF Wow Moment takes place in Ms. Rivera's classroom where students are using VEX kits for automation and robotics.
I was gifted an $11,000 grant to buy these VEX robotics kits for my class, automation and robotics. Each kit, as you can see, they're here. They are full of equipment and it allows kids to just go and create a bunch of different mechanisms and robots that they can add on to and troubleshoot and just unleash their creativity. Each group is able to have their dedicated kit. They don't have to share it. In previous years, I had to share them, and it was really difficult to build in 90 minutes, take it apart, and have it for the next class. Now, the kids can have their dedicated build, their own box with each group of 3 to 4 students. They can continue building. They don't have to take it apart in 90 minutes. They can build on, and they have made some amazing, amazing projects and adding art to them, music, even going beyond what the assignment requires. I would love to thank BEF for this amazing opportunity. This was just the highlight of my year. If my students were here, they would thank you also. We just can't imagine what we would have been doing without this gift. So thank you very much.
Thanks for supporting every student, every teacher, every school in Bernie ISD.
Thank you for celebrating these moments with us.
Thank you, Ms. Reyna, and thank you to BEF. All right, next up we have visitor comments and testimonials. So I'll read our sample statement. The board encourages comments about the district from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak either as an individual or as a representative of a group may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to only those agenda items posted with notice of the meeting and be no longer than 3 minutes. The overall time limit for comments will be 30 minutes. The board encourages the public to discuss concerns with an appropriate administrator who has the authority to address the concerns. Concerns should be expressed as soon as possible to allow early resolution at the lowest possible administrative level. Finally, please be aware that rules of decorum will be enforced during the public comment period and throughout the meeting. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Those who choose to engage in disruptive behavior may be asked to leave. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and consequences of his or her own statements. Copies of our district policy can be found on our website. We have Ms. Stephanie Dristis signed up today.
I'm Stephanie Dristis. I am a parent here in the district, but I am also a teacher at Champion High School. So I would just like to discuss with you our phone discipline process. That's part of the new policy that was approved earlier this year in reference to the new law that was passed. I think it is very well intentioned. However, I believe it may be slightly too lenient and a little burdensome to enforce, just coming from the classroom side. So far this year, I've taught 84 class periods. In that time, I have issued 89 warnings, so just the first warning. If my fellow teachers at Champion High School have done about one warning per class period, so far we have issued nearly 10,000 warnings this year. Then I have highlighted on the policy that this resets every 9 weeks. So by the end of the year, if we issue one warning per class period, that is 40,000 warnings about cell phones in 1 year. So the students know that they will get another warning as this resets. So I feel like this undermines our accountability and sort of disrupts our learning. So if I were to document a warning, this is an 8-step process. It takes me approximately 4 minutes that I'm away from students. However, if I'm doing this once every class period, that time adds up to 504 minutes in the entire year, or one entire school day, just documenting that first warning. So teachers are losing their instructional time, and I believe that this discourages consistent enforcement because teachers are spending time looking up. Has the student received a warning? Should I take their phone? Does it need to go to an AP? This is a lengthy process that can take up to 15 steps. Nearby districts are holding their students to higher standards. Alamo Heights, no warnings, no resets. Bandera, they confiscate the phones on the first offense. By the 5th offense, they're placing students in DAP. I feel that may be extreme. That may be where we need to go. Kerrville, every confiscation of a phone requires parent contact and parent pickup. I would urge you to consider aligning more closely with our neighboring districts. I feel the first offense should have a meaningful consequence. We should consider eliminating resets, streamlining our documentation process, because we need to be teaching and not trying to figure out how often has a child used their phone in class. I believe that a stronger and simpler policy will reduce interruptions. It'll support our teachers and send a clear message that phones do not belong in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dristis. All right, we're on 5, consider action, if any, regarding items discussed in closed session.
Madam President, I move we proceed as discussed in closed session.
Okay, I have a motion by Rich Senna,
Second?
second by Carlin Fryer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next, we have requests for approval of routine personnel items.
I move we approve the routine personnel items.
Okay, motion by Garrett Wilson. Second by Carlin Fryer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. On the consent agenda, if there's no discussion needed on the consent agenda, can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Carlin Fryer, second by Garrett Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That brings us to 7, governance, board member reports. We can start with Garrett if you're okay with that.
Sure. Yeah, so we had our board program, or the program evaluation committee this last week, which was really, really informative, really good meeting. We discussed a lot of stuff, covered a lot of ground. So I'll start at the top here. The district's instructional focus this year is really going to heavily lean on student growth. And so, you know, that really pertains to students accelerate, you know, going from accelerates to meets or meets to masters. Some of our EBs and ESLs and that sort of thing, you know, growing as well. We also want to concentrate on the people that are at meets, or the students that are at meets, staying at meets or getting to masters, and not going back to accelerates or not passing the test. So that's going to be a big focus for us this year. But it's not just about the scores, it's about ensuring that every student, from those who struggle to our high performers, continue to move forward and get better and better every year and learn more. So in pertaining to our continuous improvement, I think that's a really key thing, is student growth. Academic literacy, we've got on board with Sidelets Education, which is an academic literacy initiative. And all of our teachers are getting trained on just kind of fundamentals of classroom management and that sort of thing. Not just how or what you were saying when you're teaching, but how the content's delivered and sparking discussion and students to think through questions. So that's a really exciting new initiative. We also have instructional calibration walks. So the teaching and learning team is the content coordinators are going with campus leaders and walking classrooms and making sure that content is aligned throughout all of the different campuses. And it's non-evaluative. It's just to provide reflective feedback and just kind of make sure everybody's on the same page and assist where they can. And then also the district's we have a new instructional coaching program where we're putting more data in as far as trying to see where the bang for the buck is in terms of what the instructional coaches are doing. And so this is a program that they designed, and we can use it to, you know, help teachers more going forward. So that was it.
I was in attendance in this committee as well, and I was really impressed by the Sidelets education that Garrett spoke of, and it's really academic literacy across the board, and it's really about teaching our students how to run language-rich classrooms. So even being intentional on how to help our kids say what the answer is when they don't necessarily know what the answer is. So it's really a great community communication-based curriculum. So really excited about it.
Okay, as a brief update on the second special session of the Texas legislature, as you know, the first session really didn't accomplish much because they didn't have a quorum to meet, as a lot of legislators didn't attend the sessions. But that was not the case in the second session, and they focused mostly on redistricting, mid-decade redistricting, and the flood matters as relates to the tragedy in the Hill Country. But relative to education, at the last day, they voted to change the STAR system beginning in the 2027 year. Instead of one lengthy test at the end of the year, it would be replaced by 3, one at the beginning of the year to gauge where the student stands, one at the middle of the year to gauge what kind of progress has been made, and then an end of the year one, they say, is substantially shorter. I'm assuming 1.5 to 2 hours instead of 4. And that will still maintain the A to F ranking system. A lot more details to follow. I believe TEA will spend the next 2 years figuring out the new test, and then it'll go ahead in 2027. So that's that. And this past weekend, I attended the EdCon conference in Houston for a directors meeting of the Texas Association of School Boards. Of an interesting note, we did have a delegate assembly that focused on priorities for TASB for public ed, cornerstone principles, and there were some modifications made to the mission statement, the first update in 30 years, and also instead of having core beliefs and cornerstone principles, a study group committee worked over the past 9 months and consolidated the two into something that's more relevant to today's educational system. So of interesting note, our region, Region 20, had the highest attendance at the delegate assembly of any of the 20 regions. So I'm very proud. Last year, I lost a bet to Region 13. They had a 0.5% higher turnout than we did. Well, this year we beat them by 1.5 points, but there was no bet. So what are you going to do? And they're making me pay up on the bet with cooking them dinner in early December. So but it was fun. But I missed you guys, and I missed homecoming. That was not fun. So, in any event, that's that update.
Thank you, Mr. Senna.
I'm handing off to Dallas. I was unable to attend the Systems of Care.
All right. Well, I'll talk about Systems of Care. You missed a great meeting. I know it's one of your favorites. It was both of our kind of like one of our favorite groups last year. So System of Care is, we met on the 4th of this month, September 4th. The purpose of System of Care in the Bernie ISD is to deliver a comprehensive, coordinated, and collaborative service to students and their families. This meeting was fantastic. It was really set up around the bullying idea and preventing bullying. A lot of that started with how do we spread compassion and how do we develop compassionate people, compassionate leaders, and how do we spread that. And so we had a really great little project of seeing, and this was for parents, staff members, and students. By the way, we need more students. So if you have a student or if you're a student watching this online, please come to System of Care. It's open and it's a really fun group. Usually we have snacks, so that might help. But so we had some whiteboard and kind of going through where you saw bullying, what that interaction looked like, and then what steps could be taken to maybe improve that for staffs at every level. And that was the first step in kind of going through this. And hopefully we want to make sure we develop more processes on how to kind of spread compassion. I think, if Mr. Pomeroy, if I'm not mistaken there, I think that's the end goal, is to have a more passionate group and compassionate. The next committee meeting, I know you're eagerly anticipating. The next one is going to be November 6th, so I hope to see a lot more people there. And Courtney, I know you'll be there. The next meeting I attended was September 10th, and that was the Technology Committee. Very timely committee meeting there with what's going on in the world. The committee reviewed continuous efforts by Bernie ISD Technology Department to further enhance the district's cybersecurity posture. The committee also reviewed the 2022 bond phone system refresh project that's been completed with replacements aiding phone systems, software, core equipment, and desk phones. The network equipment on the 2022 bond as well, refresh project now moving forward following the federal E-rate, which I know you all follow that, program notifications and funding that committed almost is just over $500,000 to help support this initiative. A district-wide project to upgrade computers running Windows 10. Now we are told Windows 11 will be absolutely perfect. I remember Windows 98, they was told the same thing. Still waiting. So with that, the committee reviewed district steps to assessing high school student device needs, including the formation of a subcommittee to further evaluate the use of class sets versus a one-to-one program. The next meeting will be on November 4th. So,
There it is. The meeting I had the BEF, Bernie Education Foundation board meeting. They were going over, they have one of their fundraisers starting or going on September 19th, Birdies for Bernie. That'll be at Top Golf. They have sponsors, and some of us will be out there hitting a golf ball. Might not be pretty, but we'll be there. The other thing that they were mentioned in their meeting is they have their teacher innovation grants applications available, and they're going out into the community, into the classrooms and the different schools to make sure teachers are aware of the process and that the grants are open. So be sure to make sure that teachers know to apply. That's all I have today.
All right, I will, I'll report on our Board Finance Committee. We met last Wednesday, the 10th. Just a couple of items that we discussed. First, we went over, Mr. Scott presented the Moody's rating of the district to the Finance Committee, talked about the overwhelming strengths and a couple of weaknesses of the district, but obviously from a bond rating standpoint, it's very important to have a great rating, and we do. Next, we went over a report on possible refunding and restructuring of some of our bond debt. Michelle Aragon from Hilltop Securities presented an overview of the district's debt and the 2026 financial plan. The presentation included a tentative plan for refunding and restructuring of the 2016 bond series, which could generate significant interest savings for the district based on what market conditions are at the time. And finally, Mr. Scott led a brief discussion with the committee regarding an incident that prompted a conversation regarding the Texas Tort Claims Act and schools' liability or actually no liability in those cases. So the next meeting is going to be held on October the 22nd.
Our PTO presidents met with their principals a couple weeks back, and also BEF attended just to kick off the year with the PTO president, their principal, and our BEF. And our next PTO presidents meeting will be October 3rd at 9 a.m. Dr. Kraft, superintendent report.
All right, thank you, President Schmidt. And thanks to all of you for getting the year started on your committees. So it's great to hear your committee reports, and we always love your feedback and insight as you learn about things that we're working on in the school district. So I always like to share our enrollment. Today's enrollment, or Friday's enrollment, was 11,178. And as a reminder, we built our budget on 11,237. So we're still anticipating hitting that number. And at the August board meeting, you all made a decision and called for an election item in November. And so just in the past month, I've been very busy around Bernie and prioritizing our schools first, but sharing the facts with all of our school teams. And then I've been starting community meetings. So just since October 19th, I've had over 30 meetings. I've talked with audiences over 1,300 in our community to share the facts with them. And again, my first priority was going to every campus and meeting with each staff. And now my community meetings are in full swing. I've been at the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Kendall County Retired Teachers, and different Rotary clubs, and there's a long list. So it's a great opportunity to meet all of our community members, parents, and those who don't have children in the school district. As you heard Mr. Pipes give comment on the system of care, Ms. Pomeroy and her team have really been focusing on programming and supports to address bullying and cyberbullying. And so just really proud of the work that she has been leading, because she has been partnering with David's Legacy Foundation. And just within the start of the school year, we had about 5,000 students, that's our middle school and our high school students, participate in a bully prevention assembly presented by the David's Legacy Foundation, really focused on bullying, cyberbullying, the serious impact it has on students, and the importance of prevention and stepping up and saying things and not keeping that hidden. And so we appreciate her work and the work of all of our counselors to build those compassionate, resilient students, and also students who are not afraid to speak up when they see something that needs to be addressed. The assembly reinforced our commitment to student safety, kindness, and respect, while equipping students with knowledge to create that positive, supportive school environment. So Blessings in a Backpack is a partnership that we value, and they needed a space, and we found a way to make that happen. And so just last week, we had our first week with Blessings in a Backpack. They're here just for a few hours on a Thursday morning. They packed over 500 meals, And I just want to say thanks to the dedication of their volunteers. Many of them are our parents who pack the meals and then deploy and move all around the district to drop off meals for students. That's every Thursday morning that happens. And then I'm really excited to share that we kicked off the Superintendent Student Advisory Council last week. It was really important to me that I have a small group of student advisors, and so I have 16 student leaders, juniors and seniors from Bernie and Champion High School. They applied last spring. Ms. Pomeroy has been helping me to figure out all the logistics, but we will meet monthly, get their feedback, share ideas, and they will be an important voice, student voice for me throughout the year. So they're a fantastic group, and you may even see them at a board meeting coming up. They're really excited to get involved, and we're giving them all the dates of different events that we have that I'm going to need their help with. So, and then just a quick congratulations to the Champion High School Honors Orchestra and Dr. Barretta Perez. The orchestra at Champion was selected to perform at an event in the Tobin Center in May, and it's quite an honor to be selected for this event. So we'll make sure you have the details if you want to head to that event. It is in May, so we have a lot of lead time, but we're just really excited for any opportunity our students have a chance to showcase their talents. And that concludes my report.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for telling our story. Next, we have instruction with welcome to Miss Triana Fontecha.
All right. Good evening. My name is Triana Fontecha. I am the Director of Multilingual Programs for Bernie ISD. Thank you for the opportunity to share an update on our emergent bilingual programs as part of our strategic plan for student success. This report provides an overview of our bilingual and ESL programs and their impact on student success. These are Bernie ISD's long-term strategic goals. We focus on 4 areas: student success, talent, fiscal responsibility, and family and community engagement. And tonight I will connect our bilingual and ESL work directly to the student success goal. Our core values with an emergent bilingual focus: EB student is supported daily in both learning and language growth. We value and honor the cultures and languages of our EB families. We commit to high expectations and fairness for every EB student, and we serve EB students and families with care, dedication, and support. Bernie ISD offers a range of programs to meet the needs of our emergent bilingual students with our dual language, one-way immersion, dual language, two-way immersion, our ESL content-based, our ESL pullout, and in our second year, we have Spanish immersion for the English proficient student. Each of these programs supports language development while ensuring access to rigorous grade-level content. Currently, our total enrollment of emergent bilingual students is 710. Enrollment and the identification of emergent bilingual students occurs year-round. This number will increase and decrease throughout the school year. Our reclassification data shows 93 students reclassified in the 24-25 school year. This reflects both student growth and the rigor of state reclassification requirements. For a brief clarification, in Texas, an emergent bilingual student may be reclassified as English proficient at the end of a school year if the LPAC committee determines that the student demonstrates sufficient growth and student performance on TELPAS, where they must score an advanced high TELPAS composite score, and they also must demonstrate success on STAR English reading or corresponding EOC exams, and plus a satisfactory subjective teacher evaluation. Students in pre-K and K are not eligible for reclassification. Our current emergent bilingual enrollment is 111 students at the high school level and 102 students at the middle school and 497 students in elementary. This distribution highlights that the majority of our EB population is served at our elementary programs, reinforcing the importance of strong early language development. While Spanish remains the largest language represented, our district is home to 33 languages other than English, with Spanish, Telugu, and Mandarin Chinese among the top 3. This multicultural representation enriches our classrooms and underscores the need for responsive instructional strategies. As part of state requirements, I will be submitting our bilingual exception and ESL waiver to TEA by November 1st. We currently have 9 teachers on the ESL waiver and 4 teachers on the bilingual exception. While this is not uncommon across Texas, our goal is always to ensure that we reduce the number of ESL waivers each year. To support this, we continuously encourage our teachers to obtain ESL certification so they can better meet the needs of our multilingual learners. As an incentive, and upon successful completion of the ESL exam, Bernie ISD reimburses the cost of the ESL exam to remove financial barriers to our teachers. This is an important step toward ensuring every EB student has a fully certified teacher supporting their growth. Emergent bilingual students participate in state assessments, including STAR, to measure academic achievement, and the TELPAS to measure English language proficiency in the 4 domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And together, these 2 assessments provide a comprehensive picture of both content mastery and language development, ensuring we can monitor growth and provide the right supports for student success. Looking at the 2025 STAR results, and these results reflect the emergent bilinguals, the currently served emergent bilingual students, and the monitored student group. So at the 2025 STAR results, the EB students across all grade levels in reading were at 65%, and and the EB and monitored students statewide performed at approaches and above, while the region was slightly lower at 62%. Bernie ISD outperformed both with 69%. In math, 67% of the currently served and monitored emergent bilingual students statewide scored at approaches and above, compared to 65% regionally. And again, Bernie ISD exceeded both with 73%. While we do recognize that gaps remain, these results highlight that our students, including our emergent bilingual students, are continuing to make steady progress with a strong emphasis on language-rich instruction, particularly in reading and math. We are committed to refining our practices and ensuring consistent growth for every learner. TELPAS progress is measured against federal targets. At the high school level, the federal target is 34%. Bernie ISD students were at 55%. At the middle school, the federal target is 44%, and our students reached 58%. At the elementary level, the target is set at 49%, while Bernie ISD achieved 65%. At this level. These results show that our students are meeting and surpassing the federal expectations at every level, indicating that the strategies that we are implementing are making a measurable difference in language programs. When we look at the 2025 TELPAS progress rate, Bernie ISD is performing above both the region and the state, which are at 50%. Surrounding districts range from 43% to 59%, while Bernie stands at 61%. This positions our district as a leader in language growth, showing that our commitment to intentional instruction and professional learning is making an impact for our emergent bilingual students. So what's the plan for the coming school year? For the 25-26 school year, our emergent bilingual support plan is centered on providing consistent, high-quality growth opportunities for students across all campuses. Over the next 2 years, all teachers and staff will engage in professional learning on sheltered instruction with a sustained focus on implementing Sightless education education, 7 steps to a language-rich interactive classroom environment. Thank you so much for mentioning that. It is our endeavor. So also in collaboration with the Department of Multilingual Programs, each campus will establish an EB support team that meets regularly to analyze student data, collaborate on effective instructional practices, and ensure students have access to supplemental programming such as Summit K-12, which is an online platform that we have invested in. It has served us well. It supports the teachers, building their capacity, and it definitely supports our students. The programming will directly support English language development and preparation for key assessments such as TELPAS, STAR reading grades 3 through 5 in English and Spanish, English 1 and 2 EOC, and even the biology and, of course, exams. This platform offers a variety of platforms to support our emergent bilingual students. Together, these efforts will ensure intentional collaboration and targeted support for EB student success. Each year, our students proudly participate in the Spanish Spelling Bee, beginning at the campus level and then advancing to district and regional competitions. These are our first place winners who went on to participate at the region level. At the elementary, we have Emma Puente representing Curington Elementary School, Isabela Hernandez de la Cruz representing Bernie Middle School North, and Jericho Wilkes representing Bernie High School. This event not only celebrates bilingualism, but also strengthens students' academic vocabulary, confidence, and pride in their linguistic abilities. It's a wonderful opportunity to showcase the talent and dedication of both our emergent bilingual students and the English proficient student who participated in the dual language program. Once again, HERF Elementary celebrated its annual Hispanic Cultural Night with over 70 dual language students participating in the dual language two-way immersion program. The event is always a vibrant evening of music, dance, food, and community connections. Voss Middle School celebrated their first annual multicultural night. This event was organized by regions of the world, where each department connected their subject to a world region, such as family and consumer science students modeling Latin American crops and math students calculating the volume and surface area of global landmarks. Students collaborated on displays, posters, and presentations to share with their families. The evening offered interactive experiences that celebrated a variety of cultural backgrounds, highlighted student voices, and built a stronger sense of community for the emergent bilingual students and all, honestly, at Voss Middle School. It was a wonderful event, and there was an overwhelming positive feedback from all participants. It was a very nice event. Last but not least, Van Rob Elementary. Van Rob proudly displays the flags of students' home countries, celebrating the many languages and traditions that enrich their school community. As of this presentation, Van Rob has the most languages represented in Bernie ISD, 12 in total. These include Spanish, Urdu, Telugu, Tamil, Russian, Romanian, Mandarin Chinese, Malayalam, Hindi, Farsi, Arabic, and Vietnamese. This display is a powerful reminder of the range of cultures that strengthens Bernie ISD. That's it. So I want to make sure that I thank you, Superintendent Dr. Kraft, our Board of Trustees, our campus principals, and our Chief Instructional Officer for always supporting us, your leadership and your ongoing support of our emergent bilingual programs. Together, we will ensure that every student in Bernie ISD has the opportunity to achieve their absolute fullest potential. Do you have any questions for me?
Ms. Flores, you always do a fantastic job presenting, and I really appreciate every time. I feel like I really feel excited whenever I get your presentation.
Yay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. The TELPAS and the STAR, do we have any year-over-year something to compare there instead of against like competing districts or anything like that? Do you have anything from your?
Absolutely, off the top of my head, I probably don't, but we
No,
will
it's okay.
definitely
I'm
get
sorry.
that because that is definitely something that we look at.
Well,
And in comparison to last year, I'd like to share that we never rest on our laurels. We can't. We must always look and we need to refine and reinforce, and we're only as good as the 5 minutes behind us, but I promise you that we're always, that's what came up, that's why we came up with the EB support teams. How are we going to ensure that we are having very specific conversations about children as individuals? And I'm sorry that I don't have that year to year, but we'll get that for you.
Well,
Such-
but
Oh,
it
go
does include this year's comparison to about 8 or 9 other districts.
You were asking compared to ourselves? Yeah, compared to ourselves.
Ms. Montecha, that was so inspirational. And I think what stood out to me the most was just to see Van Rob with the flags on display. Unbelievable that 12 of the 33 languages.
Oh, there's 12 languages, yes. And it's 1 year, it was like, last year, I think it was like 17. And so it does go up and down. But Van Rob is always in the lead. In second place is Kendall. And in third place is Bernie Middle School South.
I love that. And it's just they're highlighting every child every day that no one is not
Those flags
seen.
are powerful.
Very representative of that core value. Also wanted to ask, I know we talked about one of your slides, the percentages of EB students in the 3 different levels in your elementary, middle school, and your high school level. I'm just surprised that 70% of the students are in the elementary level. Is that because as they, I guess, are growing up per se in this environment of being taught and it being a success that you see a lot of reclassifications and so the numbers are minimizing as they
We certainly have been intentional and focused on ensuring that that language is growing, being very strategic. The goal is by 5th grade, and research shows that if children are not reclassifying by 5th grade, they will be what we call lifers. And so we are certainly intentional about those efforts. But the elementaries, you know, they've just enrolled. We've got the dual language program, the bilingual program. We have ESL, a robust number. And so they're just getting into the program. But yeah, I am pretty impressed. It's a nice number to be reclassifying.
It's super impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and a question on that. I noticed that our EB enrollment has actually gone down by about 100 kids over the last couple of years, but the reclassification numbers are pretty solid. Is that the explanation for the drop in EB students?
Certainly, that is definitely one a contributing factor. Enrollment is a little lower this year. We did see a less number of students enroll at the beginning of the year because we're continuously looking at that. That did decline, but definitely with our reclassification numbers, we definitely saw a decline there.
Okay, another question. I've noticed over the last couple of years that the gap between approaching or better on the STAR, the gap is wider amongst in the reading area between all students in EB versus math. Is that because math is its own language, or what would the explanation be that the gap is significantly higher in reading versus math?
The reading assessment is in-depth knowledge, being able to read the English language and understand, and it's a lot. And then for the math, we can have numbers. Numbers have no words. They do have story problems, but when it comes down to the calculation, we can teach our children to calculate. It's a shorter text. It is a reading test in itself, but we can dissect that problem, and it is a smaller amount. That reading is in depth, and it asks some very deep questions to summarize, to tell main idea, and it's a profound level of literacy, a much more profound level of literacy. So we just have to continue to develop that English language, making sure that children are comprehending. We have to chunk that. The Sidelet certainly is going to support a language-rich environment with 7 steps, teaching the teachers how to teach children how to interact and utilize that language. And sometimes the children are learning, so we have a step that'll say maybe when we want them to respond, maybe it's not something that they came up with, but maybe it's something that they heard that they can repeat, building confidence. A lot is to be said about lowering a child's affective filter. You know, when we're all nervous, like I am tonight, that affective filter might be up a little bit. But when they're in the classroom, if we can lower that affective filter, they become more receptive to learning and to want to participate, to be able to think clearly. But that reading it's a lot. They've got to read, they got to turn a page, a strategy, and the taking of the reading test itself.
Thank you. And one final question. It regards the comparison between us and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other districts. There's only 1 or 2 districts that are actually pretty close to us, Alamo Heights and Comal. We top both of them. But then there's some pretty significant gaps with districts that have more EB students percentage-wise than we do. But I don't know if that would mean they should be better or more adept at dealing with an EB population. I don't know. But what I'm looking for specifically is what do you think would be the difference in the approach that we're using here that generates a better performance than a district, which overall might be a good district, but only has 47% progress? What are we doing that they're not doing, in your opinion?
In my opinion, and in the work that we do, we are very intentional. When we come together as a TNL team, Larissa is the master of data analysis. She educates us, honestly, and so we are very much aware of our students. And that's why I wanted that EB support team, because it's not now so much just the campus, but going in there, myself, the Department of Multilingual Program, there's 3 of us, and I take care of the secondary campuses. I go in with the team, and we are going to drill down very specifically what are the needs to the individual child. We can look at it at a macro level, but we really need to drill down to the very specific micro level, being the child and the teacher. We need to build that teacher capacity. We need to build so that we can have that student succeed. It's very targeted and focused. And so the data drives the decision. The data doesn't lie. We need to look at it. And I'd like to share that you're only as good as the 5 minutes behind you. So we are looking. We must ensure that the students continue to progress. That's why we brought in Sightlets. Larissa and I, when we were talking with TNL, who can we bring in? How can we continue to build capacity? And so Sightlets is a leader in Texas. And so that's where we said, okay, everyone gets trained. Once everyone gets trained, of course, we now roll that out in-house. And now we continue. And then we train the instructional coaches, and then instructional coaches train teachers. And then it's just a continuous evaluation. And again, never resting on our laurels and continue to focus.
I appreciate that very much, because you're proving that any child is capable of learning.
Thank you, because they really are. Every child can learn. Might be a little more barriers, but we can get through those barriers and we'll get to the child.
I wanted to add one other thing, if that's okay. I am fascinated that we have 33 languages. I can't wrap my mind around that. I didn't even know the second one, Telugu. I don't even know what. India. My question, or maybe just observation, is, I mean, it sounds like the teachers do have supports. You know, if they don't know a certain language, you know, the training that you guys are bringing in and expanding capacity, all of that. Is there any other ways that we could support you and your team better?
Oh, wow, is this the night to ask? No, I'm just is there money involved? I'm teasing. Just always be so supportive and so encouraging. Much like the children who need encouragement, so do the adults. It's comforting to know that I work with such a powerful team, honestly. And this is my 34th year. I've been in many districts, and I always like to tell my boss and my team, this is the most brilliant team that I've ever been with. So continue to hire the good people, continue to surround us with good practices and support us, and that really goes a long way. For the children, we always ensure that, because the teachers sometimes are at a loss, but we encourage the teachers to teach the children to advocate for themselves. We have pocket translators. The children can translanguage all day long. And what that means is that they can reach into their little bag of language repertoire and they can use that to make content comprehensible. And teachers sometimes worry, but I don't speak this language. You don't have to. I need you to model the English language. And so pocket translators go a long way. iPad, Google Lens for children, they get to advocate for themselves. So we're building them up too, so that they can get in there and fight the good fight for themselves. There's a lot of languages. You want to know all the languages? I don't have them all listed, but I know that Kendall, Spanish, Ukrainian, Telugu, there's Telugu again, Tamil, Mandarin Chinese, Malayalam, Macedonian, Kannada, which is also Canarese, and then the latest one that just enrolled was Igbo. Interesting, isn't it? I thought you would like that one. Do you all have any other questions?
I would just like to say I got to participate in the Voss Middle School Multicultural Night, and as you're sitting there listing all those different language, oftentimes we also think of primarily Spanish.
It is.
But there's so many other, languages, and that Multicultural Night really hit on all different aspects of all the different countries, and they had the math classes doing something, they had the art classes doing something, and they were all encompassing of all the core classes, and all the kids got to be involved from the primary English speakers to the different language. And so I just want to commend your department on helping facilitate, and the Voss team that put that together. That was an amazing event that really reflects what you're talking about, every student having heard and educating the other students of what their culture is. So
Thank you for recognizing that. I can't take full credit for that. I can tell you that it is inspiring that the campuses are now taking the lead. The campuses are inspired to do these events, so that's really nice. Thank you.
Thanks for expounding on the Sidelets education program some more. That really is a cool, I think that's going to be a game changer for us, just some of the stuff that's happening there. Also, thanks to the whole team for what y'all are doing with all of this. I think, by any measurement, BISD performs very well in relation to all the districts around us and statewide, regionally, nationally. But this is this has been I would say a place for years where we had more room for improvement than others. And so, I don't know, this feels like we've turned a corner maybe, or we're starting to turn the corner on this. So thanks for all the hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well said.
Great job. Thank you very much. All right, up next we have talent with Ms. Rhodes Pruin. Strategic plan update, goal 2, talent.
Good evening, Board President, trustees, Dr. Kraft, and tonight I'll be sharing on the strategic goal 2, which is talent. So as you were was shared in the last update, we do have our district scorecard, and as you know, our goal is to ensure that 100% of the Boerne ISD employee experience is focused on providing high-quality opportunities that empower staff to perform at and continuously aspire to the highest levels of professional growth and excellence. And so that's really our major goal, is to create those opportunities for our staff. I'm excited tonight to share the accomplishments of human resources in staffing, recruiting, and talent retention, as well as a cross-departmental collaboration aimed at developing our leaders' capacity. So I wanted to start with sharing that we have some very targeted recruitment activities and the development of these strong partnerships with our universities, alternative certification programs, and workforce development agencies have really allowed us to significantly reduce the number of vacancies in the district. So the chart you see in front of you, this is September 3rd of last year compared to September 3rd of this year. And we've gone from a total of 64 vacancies in that time last year to 7 this year. And so these are some areas where we know we've had some challenges with staffing in the past, and we've talked about how much of an impact it has been with the custodial vacancies, but also with the SLP vacancies going from 8 to 1. That will significantly reduce our contracted services. We do still have a few teaching assistant vacancies, but our bus driver vacancies, you can see, have gone from 8 to 0, and that's made a significant impact in just our students having a great start to the year, no double runs at the elementary level. Let's see. In the 2023-24 school year, Human Resources participated in 6 hiring events, and last year our goal as a team was to increase that number of events. So between our university events and our workforce partnership events, we participated in approximately 30 different hiring events, which led to significant improvements in our staffing. We also wanted to think through how we can strengthen our pipeline. And so one of the tools that we've implemented beginning last year are pre-hire agreements. And so a pre-hire agreement allows us to formally express the district's interest in a candidate or in our student teachers that are currently with us. And it doesn't necessarily offer them a job, but it provides that opportunity for us to say, we want you in the district, and as long as they meet those background checks and the requirements such as completing their certification or their degrees or other requirements that are needed for their job, then we're able to make those connections early on, and we are able to then secure hiring opportunities sooner than later. And then lastly, during the spring climate survey that we did with our staff, we asked staff to rank order the reasons that they work and stay in Boerne. And so we will be engaging in focus groups this year, in the fall and also in the spring, to really identify what are those top 5 reasons employees work and stay in BISD. And that's really important for us because that will help to guide our recruiting and retention strategies. Because if we know what causes people to stay with us, we know that we are not the highest paying district, but we know we've got a lot of teachers that actually stay with us in the district. And so we want to use that information and use that as a target for our recruiting and retention efforts. And then I want to talk a little bit about our cultivation strategy. So we are really committed to identifying some innovative ways of increasing our teachers coming into the district. So you can see that figure there from College Factual. In Texas in 2024, only 8% of the degrees earned were in education. And so that equates to about 18,000 degrees, which sounds like a lot, but when you think about the fact that there are over 1,000 school districts, what it equates to is about 15 new teachers per district. Just to put that in perspective, last year, for this school year, for the 25-26 school year, Boerne hired 121 teachers, and 34 of those were brand new. So that 15 on average that comes to us doesn't give us enough to fill our vacancies. And so as we began to really think through how do we ensure that we have full staffing and that we're finding those teachers, we started to look at different opportunities. So we did offer our first paid teacher residency in the spring, and that was a partnership with Texas A&M University. We had a current teaching assistant who we were able to maintain in her teaching assistant role while she completed her student teaching requirements. And so that allowed us to keep a great employee and not lose her to another district where she might be able to have a paid residency. And our goal is to create more partnerships like that with our university partners. The other piece that we're really trying to focus on now is the teaching assistant to teachers. So as you guys are aware, we do have a partnership with Indiana Wesleyan and Teachworthy, and we have 5 students that are enrolled in that right now. We have one that graduated in the spring. We'll have 2 that will finish their degrees at the end of this year, and then 2 more that will finish the following year. And those are in high need areas of bilingual and special ed. But we are also trying to connect with other partners. And so while it wouldn't necessarily be a program that's paid for by the district, we are trying to make those connections for our teaching assistants and other staff members who are interested in moving into a teacher role and being able to provide support for them along the way. And then lastly, we have a very robust CTE teacher pathway program. And so last year it was a great honor for us to go out and provide a letter of intent to our graduates in the CTE teacher pathway. So we had 6 this past year that are planning to go into teaching. But right now we have 67 students in the teacher pathway in their last 2 years of the program. So as we really think about how do we provide opportunities for those individuals to come back, we're offering them that letter of intent for guaranteed student teaching opportunities as well as teacher opportunities once they finish their degrees and achieve their certification. And we talked about the teacher incentive allotment during the budget workshop. And so one of our goals this year is that we will begin to explore potential pathways for enhanced teacher compensation through the teacher incentive allotment. And so you'll see the timeline there. This fall, I have meetings scheduled with all of our campuses, and we're going to be conducting stakeholder engagement. That's really important because we have to have buy-in in the district if we want to move toward the teacher incentive allotment. So we'll be doing that in the fall, and then in the early spring, late fall, early spring, we will actually be reviewing all of that feedback to plan next steps. And what we really want to see is that we have a strong commitment from teachers to move forward with teacher incentive allotment. Just from my prior experience, we really want to have about 70 or 80% of teachers who want to move forward with this process to make it a successful process. If we have that feedback from our teachers and our administrators on the campuses, then we will begin to form a committee to develop our application and identify what that teacher incentive allotment could look like within Boerne ISD. And then lastly, wanted to share with you about the BISD Aspiring Leaders Academy. So this is a collaborative process between teaching and learning, administrative services, and human resources. And so with this program, it will offer individuals who are interested in moving into leadership positions an opportunity to build their coaching and mentoring skills, to have those real world experiences. And really the ultimate goal is to retain and develop our future leaders. We had our information session on September 11th, and at that information session there were 30 Boerne ISD employees who are interested in moving into a leadership position. And so we're really excited to see how many of those individuals move forward in the actual academy, but I know our team is already starting to reach out. We're fielding questions from individuals who want to know how they get a master's degree or what's required if they have a master's degree. And so we do have a lot of interest in the district for our instructional coach pathway as well as our aspiring principals pathway. And that's all I have for you today. Are there any questions?
Do you mind if I have question, a comment? I'm really, really excited about that Leadership Academy. I think we got some great leaders behind you that hopefully we can get to contribute to that. So sorry to task you. But I think that's fantastic. And seeing what would happen in the last couple of years, I think that would be a great resource. A question for you though on the 8% that are going in with for a degree into education. Mm-hmm. What percentage of our teaching staff has a degree in just education, or I would imagine there's a variety of different degree paths that they come from, but how many of them are actually coming from education?
I don't actually have that information for you, but I can definitely get it.
And I'm not asking, it's not a guy, I'm just kind of curious to see because that number is kind of staggering. Like, wow, we're going to run out of teachers. But thinking about, okay, who has a history degree, who has a math degree that might translate.
And where we typically have more teachers with true education degrees is in our elementary levels. We do have, I would say the bulk of our teachers at secondary do have degrees in education, but if somebody has a degree in history or science or something along those lines, it's easier for them to go through an alternative certification program to become a certified teacher than it is at the elementary level.
But Dallas, you raise a good question, because in the state of Texas, I'm assuming that figure of 18,000 degrees, that's just Texas. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's 365,000 teachers in Texas public schools. So what's getting out of college every year with an education degree is 5%. and the turnover through retirement, leaving the profession, is way more than 5%. So without the alternative cert programs, there's no way statewide we would be able to. In fact, I mean, you would know the answer, I think, but those teachers that we hire that do not have a certification, very, very few, correct?
So I think we have about 14 right now that we have under District of Innovation, and those are all secondary teachers. And some of those are in CTE. We have a few in the areas of math and science. As you're aware, with House Bill 2, they'll be phasing out those opportunities, and so we are reaching out to all of those individuals to try to help them get into an alternative certification program so that they're prepared when those timelines expire for House Bill 2.
Yeah, they're good programs. I mean, my daughter was a journalist, and then she got her alternative cert and became an ELA teacher. Very related, in life experience. A couple of, first of all, congratulations on going from 64 vacancies a year ago to 7 today. That's tremendous progress. One question I had, teaching assistant vacancies from 21 down to 5. What is the impact on our teaching staff when we have a serious shortage of teaching assistants?
So I think for us it is a larger impact because the majority of our teaching assistants are in our special education and our bilingual programs. And so when we do have those vacancies, it definitely has an impact on our teachers. The one thing that where we do have probably an advantage over some districts is we have a robust pool of substitutes. A lot of those are retired teachers who do fill into those teaching assistant vacancies when we have them. And so even though we have 5 vacancies, it doesn't mean that we have teachers that don't have any support. We have substitutes in those teaching assistant vacancies right now until we can find the right candidates for those classrooms.
Thank you. That's a good answer. The other thing is, and I don't expect that anyone has these numbers right now, but I know one of the themes we had last year was improving our efficiency and saving on budget dollars by lowering our contracted services and tweak what we pay our own employees. So SLP went from 8 down to 1, and you came to us a year ago with a recommendation to change that. Mm-hmm. We did, and here we are a year later in much, much, much better shape. So what I'd be interested in seeing, whether it's with custodial vacancies or SLP, what was the incremental cost of doing the pay raises that we did a year ago for our hourly workers, $1.25, $3 for bus, and then the SLP? What did we incrementally spend on those raises, but conversely, what did we save on reduced contracted services? And I will bet you it's a trade. But I think it would be interesting to know that analysis. Absolutely. Because that would just validate the approach of, hey, let's just do everything we can to properly pay our people. So I'd like, that's one thought, one question. And then it appears that we've pretty much solved the vacancy situation, but I think the next goal in our development would be to reduce the cost of turnover and just reduce turnover as much as we can, even in areas like food service or custodians, because there's a cost to turnover. Any business owner knows when you lose an employee who's already been trained, there's a cost to turnover. Dr. Kraft gives a very good presentation on the facts behind the VADER and points to a significant number of new K through 3 teachers that have to go through the Reading Academy at $3,000 a shot. Well, that's a $100,000 cost. What if that was 50? That would be a nice savings. So in any event, I think that's our next goal, is what we can do to reduce turnover, and what would the, not just savings be, but the improvement in the operation of the district.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback on you. I totally agree. I was looking at that SLP number and remembering those conversations we had, and I mean, I might be speaking out of turn, but I would like to. I think that we're probably going to be. That's going to be a green number, right? Increasing the pay, and what that look like, I think, is actually going to be a financial benefit to the district. I want to commend you, though. I know that y'all are out there in the recruiting circles and looking at the numbers of custodian vacancies. Bus drivers were a big topic for us last year at this time. But looking at the custodian numbers, I mean, 18-1, that's because of y'all's efforts in getting out there and doing the job fairs and being the smiling faces. I do have a question though. In those job retention, I know y'all show up at different levels all over the place. What is the one thing, or what are the things that people are telling you that the reason that they came to Bernie?
I think people want to be in Bernie because it is an A-rated district. They know the reputation of Bernie. I think where we struggle in some of our hourly is they can't afford to live here, and so we do have folks traveling in, and so if they don't have reliable transportation and things like that, it creates a stumbling block for us. We don't have bus service where they can get to those different areas. So what we hear from our professionals is the reputation really draws individuals here. I think with our hourly, what we hear more is it's word of mouth. So they have friends who are in the district and talk about how great their experience is, and that word of mouth really has created a lot of the efficiencies where we've seen reductions in our vacancies.
And I want to add to that, because I think hopefully speak for everybody here, is we see these as numbers, but these aren't numbers, these are people. And I think we're going to be doing a lot more on our side to hopefully show how much we respect and love those people that choose Bernie. So thank you.
Just one final question. I know the state this year, as part of HB2, added a benefit for teachers for pre-K, that cost would be covered, and that's huge, because I believe we were charging $675 a month. What has been the results? Do you know what the result has been of that initiative by the state and how it's impacting our teaching staff?
I think is it 32, 30? Yes, we have 32 teachers that are taking advantage of that. We did end up we added 2 more classrooms. So we added a classroom at Currington and a classroom at Kendall. And so our teachers were very excited about that. Renee and Teaching and Learning and I did some Zoom sessions just to gauge interest, and then Renee has done a great job working with those teachers and being able to place our students or their children in the best possible place for them to be in. So it definitely has made a difference for our teachers.
Well, it's an awesome benefit. I mean, it's an $8,000 a year savings net. So, and I realize the state's not funding it for other positions, but is the whole child care issue an issue for our other employees, in that we ought to look at something for next year or for the future in terms of a recruiting tool and a retention tool? I just bring that up as a question, because I know what my daughter pays for child care. It's a lot of money,
And we have had a number of questions from non-teaching staff about, is there going to be any type of anything coming down from the state that will help administrators, instructional coaches, nurses, librarians, all those others that did not get the benefit of House Bill 2.
Yeah, and I don't see the state do it. First of all, they don't meet again until 2027, but, not to get into a financial analysis here at the meeting, but as we prepare for next year, perhaps we ought to look at, what the financial costs would be to the district, were we to set it at a threshold that's viewed as a real attractive thing for our hourly employees. Just something to consider.
Thank you.
Mr.
Jill, I
Fryer?
too want to commend you on the success in filling the vacancies, because it's huge, not just for students, but for staff morale and everything else. The thing that I think I'm most excited about here tonight is the guaranteed opportunities that we're offering the students that are leaving us to come back. We frequently talk about what makes Bernie special. And so we talk about maintaining our heritage, maintaining the culture. There's no better way to maintain your culture than to hire the students that came up through it. And so I just think that's a huge opportunity for us to continue to promote, hometown Bernie and what those values mean. So.
And a lot of the students who leave Bernie or leave here and go to college, they will come back or they'll call us and ask if they can do student teaching. And so the team's really been working with other universities to be able to create those MOUs. So you saw a lot of those MOUs come through last year so that we can have students at different universities rather than just local come back and do their student teaching. And so that definitely is a draw for our graduates.
Yeah, thanks for expanding that MOU bank too, because and just helping to grow our own. It's been really fun to get to work with those students that are in the education pathway to try to support them and cheer them on to come back and work for BISD. So thank you. It was a great presentation. Did a great job. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
All right, next we have actions, business with Mr. Scott.
Good evening, everybody. You've got before you the results of operations for the district financially through August 31st of 2025. That's 2 months into the fiscal year. I'm going to come back to the budgetary comparison schedule in just a second. I just want to go run through real fast. Say we don't have any budget amendments in this report. We did have 64,000 in donations to the district. We certainly appreciate every dollar and hour and good that's donated to the district. These are a number of donations that were given by boosters and supporters to get the year started. And then the tax collections report is that's typically the lowest. August is typically the lowest month of the year for tax collections, and this year is no exception in that regard. The district is cyclical. You have times where you've got expenditures and no revenues, and you have times of tremendous revenues for a short period of time, and you live off that. Typically we start getting we get about 70% of our tax levy in October that people taking advantage of the early pay discount. And then and that continues through January. We'll see significant revenues, and then we'll basically live off of those for the rest of the year. But with the legislation that started in 2019 with House Bill 3 and continued with the tax compression that we saw in 2023 and continued with House Bill 2 in the last session, we see these spikes in state aid where we're not so heavily reliant on our property tax revenues, and that's going to be evident this year. When you're looking at our budgetary comparison schedule and you see the deficit that you see in the general fund at this point in time, that's timing. That's not a true deficit, right? We've just got a couple of months of expenditures with no revenues. Next month, we'll see a little bit of a reverse in that because we will get as a district that's on payment plan 3 for our foundation revenues, we'll get 45% of our projected estimate in September. I was going over this with Dr. Kraft a little earlier today, and it reminded me that estimate that we talked about. We're going to get 45, whether the state's right or wrong, because there's a lot of guessing into what kind of state revenues we're going to get. And right now, the state is saying we're going to get $33 million in foundation revenues. I think that's really, really high. But we'll still get 45% of that. Whether we have to give it back at the end of the year or not is another matter. That's fine. We'll certainly take it, and the interest that goes along with it and the cash flows that go along with it. So that'll be about $15 million that we'll get next month. That's a nice bonus. It's weird to look at the child nutrition fund and see that little deficit you've got there, but once again, you've got the expenses in July and the expenses in part of August, and then you've got 3 weeks of school where some revenues come in. And I would remind you that child nutrition is showing an $83,000 deficit this year. Last year it was over 200 because we had invested in software and we knew that deficit was going to come down over time, and it resulted in a surplus, right? So I expected even more so this year. The debt service fund kind of looks weird. It's a $6 million deficit. Debt service funds or debt service budgets are a little bit weird because it's when you adopt a debt service budget, you're adopting a budget for not only the payments that we're going to make in February, but also the following August in the next fiscal year. So that deficit you see is actually down a fund balance that was gained from last year's levy. It's intentional because the levies that you're required to pay those debt service payments against don't necessarily line up with fiscal years that we that's why we have that $10 million fund balance in the debt service fund, because of the $6 million in payments that we're going to make in get a property tax come in enough for us to get through to next year. So those are some of the thoughts I have about the statements that I've given to you, and I'll certainly entertain any questions or concerns at this point in time.
Any questions?
So, Mr. Scott, the fund balance as of September 15th is roughly a little over 15 million, right? Am I reading that right?
Fund balance in
the general fund.
We're going to end the fiscal year right there where we started, right there in the high. So some of those that you see right now, we're still waiting for actual results to come in to update what fund balance is going to be. Are you looking at? Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. The 15 million left in fund balance. Yes, sir.
That's about a month and a half of roughly. It's about 10 million a month is probably our run rate right now.
Yes, sir.
And so, yeah, I mean, if 70% comes in October, then we're in good shape.
We'll be flush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any questions this month. Just one thing, I studied the tax collections for this year, and then I pulled up a year ago, and I've seen what I consider to be progress. Our delinquent taxation is down almost 10% from a year ago, and in the month of August, or through the first 2 years of the fiscal year, July and August, a much greater percentage of the delinquent taxes from the previous year have been paid this year as opposed to last year. So that's some good catch up on the part of the tax collection efforts. So I'm seeing some good trends here.
Yeah. Some of it is a result of tax collection efforts. Some of it was we had a couple of larger taxpayers that had a multi-year. They had been appealing that for quite some time. That was finally settled. So a lot got cleared out and paid off for what they did.
Anybody else have a question or a comment?
I move to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
I second.
Motion by Christy Schmidt, second by Courtney Daughter Bruce. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have future business items. Our next meeting is October 27th to discuss advanced academics report, progress monitoring report, approved district and campus improvement plans, quarterly investment report, and first public hearing. With that, if anybody else has anything for the cause, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Rich Senna motions, Garrett Wilson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.